You know that specific feeling, the one where the house is finally quiet. Maybe it's late at night, everyone's asleep, the dishwasher is humming in the kitchen, the emails are finally done.
Right.
Technically, on paper, everything's fine, everyone's safe, you should be relaxing, but you just can't.
Because there's this hum in the background.
Exactly. It's like a low-frequency hum. It isn't panic. It's not a crisis. It's just this weight,
Yeah.
this sense that you aren't actually finished with the day because the day isn't just about today. It's about where today is going. And honestly, for the longest time, I just thought that was my own inability to, chill out.
You are definitely not alone in that. But that feeling is exactly what we're unpacking today.
Oh, good.
We are doing a deep dive into a really beautiful and, well, somewhat haunting essay. It's titled The Weight of Tomorrow by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha.
Right.
And if you're a parent, or frankly anyone who deeply cares for another human being, this is going to validate a lot of those late-night feelings.
And I have to say, reading Malha's essay was a massive relief for me. Because I think a lot of us classify that feeling as worry or anxiety or just being, high-strung.
We try to fix it.
We try to medicate it or meditate it away. But Malha says, no, this isn't about your to-do list. This isn't a malfunction. This is something structural.
Right. And that is the core definition we need to start with to really understand this.
Okay.
Malha defines this weight, not as a list of goals or a schedule you have to keep. He describes it as the sense that the present is constantly leaning forward.
Leaning forward. I love that image. It feels so active.
It's powerful, isn't it? It means that when you're parenting or, caretaking, you are never just in the now. We talk a lot in our culture about living in the moment, but Malha argues that for parents, that's almost impossible. You're constantly aware that what is happening now carries consequences that haven't arrived yet.
You're living with the future inside the present.
That's the phrase.
Okay, let's pause there because that is a massive concept. Living with the future inside the present. Because usually when we hear living in the future, we think of anxiety.
Right. Catastrophizing.
Yeah, we think of clinical anxiety where you're imagining the house burning down or some terrible accident. But Malha is making a distinction here.
He is, and it's a crucial one. If you miss this, you kind of miss the whole point of the essay.
So what's the difference?
He points out that this weight is distinct from clinical anxiety or like habit-based worry. Anxiety is often treated as a flaw, something to be fixed or managed. It's often irrational.
Okay.
But Malha argues that this weight is a structural condition of caring.
Meaning you can't have the caring without the weight.
Exactly. If you care for a child, someone whose life is going to extend far beyond your immediate reach, far beyond your protection, you cannot help but feel the future pressing on the present.
Wow.
Malha writes that the child exists simultaneously in your mind as three things: who they are now, who they will become, and who they might struggle to become.
And we feel all three of those versions of them at the same time.
All at once. It's a superimposition of time frames.
That explains so much. It explains those moments, and Malha brings this up, where you find yourself checking on them when they're asleep.
Yes. The night watch.
I have done this so many times. It's late at night, the house is dark, and I'll just stop by the door and listen. I'm not really thinking, oh my God, something is wrong. It's quieter than that.
It's almost instinctual.
Yeah.
Malha describes that perfectly. He says, it's not because you're imagining a disaster. It's because in the quiet of the night, the future feels close to the body. You are checking to make sure the continuity of time is still there. You're verifying that the story continues.
It's primal. It's like checking the perimeter, but the perimeter is time, not space.
It is. And this concept explains why small decisions feel so heavy. You say something sharp to your kid during the morning rush, or...
Oh, you miss a chance to connect when they get home in the afternoon.
Exactly. In a vacuum, those are small moments. A snappy comment is just a snappy comment. But the weight of tomorrow makes them feel huge.
Because we aren't just seeing the moment, we're seeing the trajectory.
Precisely. Malha says parents know, without needing to be told, that they are implicated in how time moves.
We're implicated.
You feel that a small misconnection today could pivot the trajectory of who they become 10 years from now. You worry that one sharp word becomes their inner voice forever.
Which is terrifying, by the way. It puts so much pressure on being perfect.
It is immense. But recognizing it as a structural part of love, rather than just you being crazy, is the first step to carrying it better. It reframes the pressure.
So if this is about the future leaning into the present, that brings us to the daily grind. The repetition.
Oh, yeah.
Because if there is one thing parenting has in abundance, it is saying the same thing over and over again. Put your shoes on. Be kind to your sister.
Please, for the love of all that is holy, brush your teeth.
The glamour of parenthood.
Right. But Mala has a really interesting take on this repetition. It's not just nagging. It's not just trying to get through the morning.
What is it then?
No. He argues that from the outside, it looks excessive. But from the inside, that repetition is shaped by time.
Okay.
You aren't just trying to get shoes on feet in this specific moment. You are trying to instill a habit or a value that will exist when you aren't there. Malha writes, "What is repeated today will echo tomorrow."
It's an echo chamber we're building. We're recording a voice for them to play back later.
Essentially, yes. You are trying to colonize their future with good habits. And here's where it gets really interesting and a little haunting.
Go on.
Malha notes that absence also echoes.
Ooh, that hit me hard when I read it.
It's the idea that what is not said, what is not noticed, what is not held, that doesn't just vanish.
It leaves a mark.
It becomes part of the future landscape, too. It becomes the negative space in their development.
So everything counts. The things we do repeat and the things we ignore. No wonder we're tired. It feels like there is no off switch because every interaction is a brick in the building of tomorrow.
Well, this leads directly to what Malha calls the collapse of time. And this is a major source of that exhaustion we talked about in the intro.
Unpack that for us. Time frames collapsing. What does that mean?
Think about it. If you're constantly consulting the future, will this make them a good person? Will this ruin them? Are they eating enough for their growth spurts? Then the future is dominating every interaction.
Okay.
The present moment becomes, in Malha's words, thin and brittle.
Because it can't support the weight of all that tomorrow. The present just snaps under the pressure.
Exactly. You are holding too much time at once.
Wow.
And Malha points out that this is why rest feels so provisional for parents. Even when you are sitting down doing nothing, perhaps in the early hours before anyone else is up,
You're still on call.
you feel like you might be interrupted by the unwritten future at any second.
That is the most accurate description of parental fatigue I have ever heard. It's not physical tiredness, though that's there too. It's the exhaustion of holding time.
Holding time, that's it.
Right.
And realizing that is important because it stops you from blaming yourself for being tired.
Right.
You aren't tired because you're weak. You're tired because you are doing something metaphysically heavy. You are sustaining a timeline for another person.
Okay, so we have this heavy, collapsing, time-bending weight. It sounds like a burden. It sounds like something we should want to get rid of so we can just enjoy our coffee.
It does.
But Malha pivots here. He doesn't just say it's hard. He says there is an intelligence to this weight.
This is a vital reframe. If we only see this weight as a burden, we miss its function.
So it has a purpose.
Malha argues that the weight of tomorrow is actually a form of high-level intelligence. It sharpens your attention in a way nothing else can.
In what way? Like a superpower.
In a way, yes. Think about those subtle shifts you notice in your child. A new silence at the dinner table. A slight change in their mood when they come home in the afternoon. Someone without that weight, someone just casually observing, might miss those details.
But because you have skin in the game.
Because you feel the forward pull of the future, you notice the deviation.
It's like a radar system. You're scanning for blips.
It is. It's what maintains consistency when your motivation runs out. You don't keep setting boundaries because it's fun.
Definitely not fun.
You do it because the weight tells you it matters for the long game. Malha says without this weight, parenting would collapse into immediacy.
Reaction without foresight.
Exactly. We'd just be reacting to whatever happens right now with no map for where we're going. We'd give them the candy to stop the crying. We'd let them skip school because they're tired. The weight is the map.
It's a compass.
It's the physical sensation of the future pulling you forward, keeping you on course.
So it's a tool, a heavy tool, but a tool. But tools change depending on the job, right? And the job of parenting changes as the kid grows up. Does the weight change?
It does. And Malha touches on this evolution beautifully. When children are small, in those early years, the weight is about protection.
Sure.
The future feels fragile, like something you have to shield.
Yeah.
You are physically keeping them alive.
Keep them safe, keep them fed, don't let them fall.
But as they grow, the weight shifts. It becomes less about protection and more about release.
And that's a different kind of heavy.
Oh, Malha writes that this shift can be even heavier. It's about trusting movement. It's about knowing that the future is pulling away from you.
Oh, wow.
And he has this incredibly poignant line. The future is not only something you worry about, it is something you eventually have to let approach without you.
Let approach without you. That is the quiet tragedy of it, isn't it?
It is the quiet sorrow of parenting. The realization that there will be days you cannot reach. There will be pain you cannot prevent.
And you just have to watch.
And the weight of tomorrow includes that knowledge. It's not just worrying about their grades. It's the deep existential knowing that you cannot carry them forever.
And yet we try. We try so hard. We try to pad the corners of the world for them.
We do. But Mala makes an incredibly important point here about inequality.
Okay.
We have to acknowledge that this weight is not evenly distributed across all parents.
Right. It's not just a philosophical concept. It's a reality of circumstance.
Absolutely. Mala explicitly states that for parents facing social instability, economic pressure, or illness, the future feels far more precarious.
Of course.
If you don't know where next month's rent is coming from, or if you're living in an unsafe environment, that forward pull is much sharper. It's much more dangerous.
It's more urgent. It's not just will they be happy, it's will they be safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a response to real conditions, not a pathology. Mala emphasizes that we shouldn't judge ourselves for feeling this weight more heavily than others might appear to. Sometimes the heaviness belongs to the world, not just to the parent. The weight scales with the risk.
That's a really validating point. It's not all in your head. Some of it is in the rent check. Some of it is in the medical diagnosis.
Right.
It makes sense that the weight feels crushing when the supports aren't there.
Exactly.
So we've defined the weight. We've talked about how it crushes time, how it acts as a radar, and how it eventually breaks our hearts a little bit as we have to let go.
Yeah.
The big question, the one I think everyone listening is asking is, how do we fix it? How do we put the weight down so we can finally relax in the evening?
And here's the paradox. Mala says, you don't.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
He addresses the trap of trying to solve it. Many parents feel like they should feel settled.
Right.
They look at other parents and think, oh, they have it all figured out. They aren't carrying this burden. They look so relaxed.
The illusion of the chill parent on social media.
Right. But Mola says that belief just adds a second layer of strain. Now you're judging yourself for worrying.
Oh, that's rough.
The reality is, the future cannot be put down. Because, as he writes, it does not belong to the parent to carry alone. It arrives because love opens time.
Love opens time. So as long as you love the kid, the time is open and the weight is there.
Yes. If you stopped caring, the weight would vanish. But you don't want to stop caring.
Of course not.
So the goal isn't resolution. It isn't reaching a point where you say, okay, job done, no more weight. The goal is recognition.
What's the difference in practice? How does recognition help me?
When you recognize the weight, when you name it as the weight of tomorrow, instead of just my anxiety or my stress, it changes from a threat into a presence.
Okay.
Malha suggests that when we stop arguing with the feeling internally, it softens.
So instead of fighting it in the quiet hours, thinking, why can't I relax? You say, oh, hello, that's just the weight of tomorrow. It's here because I care.
Precisely. It allows the present moment to reclaim some of its space.
I like that.
If you can see the weight, you can also see around it. You can see the child as they are right now, in this moment, eating cereal or laughing at a joke.
Instead of just seeing them as a bundle of risks or a future project.
Exactly.
That distinction, seeing the child, not the risk, feels like the key to actually enjoying parenting.
It is. It's about letting the weight be a companion. A companion that walks just ahead of you, guiding you, but doesn't need to smother you.
It really changes the texture of the feeling. It makes it noble, almost.
It honors the seriousness of the role. Parenting is serious. It's demanding. Mala isn't trying to sugarcoat it.
No.
But he's saying that the heaviness isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of how deeply you are involved in time.
I love that. It's not failure. It's depth. It's engagement.
Yes.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the listening for breathing in the dark to the eventual letting go. It's a lot to process.
It is. Mala's essay is dense with this kind of emotional truth. It's one of those pieces that stays with you.
So if we boil this down for the listener who is maybe driving in their car right now or folding laundry late at night, feeling that hum of background pressure, what's the takeaway?
The takeaway is that you're feeling this because the relationship matters. The weight of tomorrow is the cost of loving someone whose life you cannot ultimately carry. It doesn't vanish, but it shifts. And your job isn't to exercise it, but to understand it so it doesn't run the show.
To live with the future without letting it consume the present.
Beautifully put.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. There was one other part of Malha's essay that we haven't touched on yet, and it's a bit of a curveball.
Oh, the memory piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This part really stopped me in my tracks. It changes the angle of everything we just talked about.
It's a provocative closing thought. Malha asks us to consider how much of this weight we feel is actually our own past.
Right. We think we are worrying about their future, but we are actually projecting our own unresolved stuff.
Malha says, yesterday is speaking through tomorrow. Our hopes, our fears, what we lacked, what hurt us, we pack all of that into the suitcase of our child's future.
We worry they will feel the loneliness we felt or the failure we felt.
Yeah.
So the question for you listening right now is this. When you feel that heaviness pressing down, that fear of what might happen, how much of that is actually about your child? And how much of it is an echo of your own history?
Recognizing when yesterday is speaking through tomorrow might be the most powerful way to finally let the present breathe. It lets you separate your story from theirs.
Something to think about in the quiet hours. That's it for this deep dive into Pedro Mala's The Weight of Tomorrow. Thanks for listening.